You just knew the Angels were going to kick off their last series of their worst season in franchise history with a loss. We'll break down the defeat to the Rangers, loss number 97, adding to the record-setting amount of losses on tonight's edition of the Locked On Angels Postcast right now.
You are Locked On Angels Postcast, part of Locked On Sports Los Angeles, on the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Hello, Halo Nation. Hello, Halo hopefuls, and hello, Postcast people, and welcome to the latest edition of the Locked On Angels Postcast. Coming at you live, as always, on the Locked On Sports Los Angeles YouTube channel and after the fact, wherever you get the Locked On Angels podcast feed. If you don't know who I am, my name is Gavin Carlson, a former credentialed journalist in the LA area, now part of the Locked On Podcast Network, where it's your team every day. Our team, unfortunately, is the Los Angeles Angels, and tonight they kicked off their first game of their last series in what has been the worst season in franchise history, confirmed. And based on the comments I'm seeing so far, you all feel the same way I feel. Angels win here saying only 2 more to go, Gavin. Jeff says 2 games away from 99. Yeah, it's just 99 losses, that is. It's brutal. It's brutal. Anaheim Angel says, just drove by the stadium on the way to work. Have never seen it clear out so fast. Yes, the Angels lose loss number 97 here today. Obviously, the record would have been 96. They set that yesterday. Now 63-97 on the season. Still 2 games to go. They won't get to 100 losses, but boy, are they going to get close. This time losing 5-2 to the Texas Rangers. Once again, not losing to a World Series contender. The 76-84 Texas Rangers absolutely crushing Reid Detmers early. They score 3 runs in the top of the first. They hit 3 home runs off of Detmers. Detmers did strike out 12. I guess that's one of the only positives tonight, but the Angels just have 7 hits. They score 2 runs, and Detmers gives up 4 earned runs with those 3 home runs. His ERA is over 6.5, and the losses just keep adding up. Of course, the White Sox lost tonight. They waited until tonight to set the record for the most losses in an MLB season because they swept the Angels. I didn't get to do the show yesterday, and I'm almost glad I didn't because I don't know how I would have felt. I don't know what I would have said after that disgraceful loss yesterday. Like Angels Win is saying in the comments as well, it's a day where we see the Royals clinch a playoff spot, the Tigers clinch a playoff spot. All these franchises that aren't any good, haven't been to the playoffs in a while, and yet they managed to make it to the postseason while we just continue to add to the worst season in our franchise's history. Thanks, Artie Moreno. Thanks, Artie Moreno. Before we jump into this one, as always, shout out to everybody in here. No secret that you guys are the reason I do this show. It's not this dang team. That's for darn sure. And also a quick shout out to the sponsor of today's show. It is Booking.com. Booking.yeah. The right stay can make you a fan of any city, even your baseball rivals. So book today on Booking.com, the official accommodation partner of Major League Baseball. Get the Booking.com app today. And what a great comment here from Anaheim Angel. He says, let's DFA Artie Moreno, because Angels Win says DFA Reid Detmers. How about DFA Artie Moreno? On today's show, we will discuss Reid Detmers. That's the main story. We'll talk about another underwhelming offensive performance, couple really bad outings from Taylor Ward, Kevin Pillar, Matt Thaiss with 3 strikeouts, Brandon Drury with 2 strikeouts, Stefanik goes 0 for 4 with 2 strikeouts. We'll get into another abysmal offensive performance for the most part, and we'll just talk about the final 2 games of the season, I guess. I guess we could do a little recap of the White Sox game yesterday since I didn't get to do a show for that one, but the main story in this one is Reid Detmers. We know this team isn't playing for anything. They've already now at this point set all the records for being the worst year, regardless of what metric you use. And so really, at this game was all about Reid Detmers and hopefully him showing us something. We know he had a good couple of starts when he came back from the minors. We know he then didn't have a couple good outings. And so this would be his last start of 2024, hoping to have him play well, look like a competent pitcher that maybe can be in this rotation next season. And he showed you some good things in terms of 12 strikeouts, but he really showed you some bad things in terms of giving up 3 home runs and giving up 3 runs in the first inning. In case you forget what he had been doing recently coming into this one, his last two starts, pretty darn abysmal, right? He comes back after only pitching once in June on June 1st, not pitching all of July, not pitching all of August, that being in the majors, of course. He had two great starts in September. September 3rd, gives up 2 runs, just 3 hits against the Dodgers. Then on September 9th against the Twins, an okay team, just another 5 hits, 2 runs, another 8 strikeouts. Looked like, okay, Reid Detmers can be a number 4 in a rotation next year, number 3, something like that, behind a Tyler Anderson, behind a Jose Soriano, behind maybe a Jack Kohanowitz or a Caden Dana. Maybe we actually go get a free agent starting pitcher. But then what do we see in his last 2 starts coming into this one? September 16th against the White Sox, the man gives up 7 earned runs in 5 1/3 innings. Gave up 3 home runs. And then in his last start coming into tonight on the 21st against the Astros, he gives up 7 earned runs in just 2 innings, 9 hits in just 2 innings. He had 3 walks, another home run. So the control's been an issue. We know that. It was an issue. It's the reason we sent him down. He comes back up. He looks competent for 2 starts, and he's falling apart. And then once again tonight, we saw the poor Reid Detmers, the one that doesn't look like he belongs in an MLB rotation right now, let alone being maybe like the 3rd or 4th starter in the rotation. And like we said, it started early and often in this one. Leadoff single from Marcus Semien. Anytime you're going to give up a hit on the first pitch of the game, wasn't even a bad pitch, a fastball below the knees. But the first fastball Detmers throws is ripped for a base hit. Not looking good. He strikes out Josh Smith, but then Wyatt Langford comes up after the Semien single, and it takes just 2 pitches for Detmers to throw a hanging changeup. Langford absolutely destroys it, 376 feet. It's not that deep, but he hit it 100 exit velo. It's 2-0, and then the Rangers go back-to-back. Adolis Garcia, 6 pitches later, 2-2 slider right down the middle. So you hang a changeup, the Rangers take advantage. You hang a slider, the Rangers take advantage. And just like that, it's 3-0. You've given up 2 home runs in your first 3 at-bats of the game, and this ball game is probably over. He kind of has an okay second inning. He gave up another 2 singles, but then he has 3 strikeouts. That was a common theme. I mean, even in the first inning, he strikes out 2. The second inning, he strikes out 3, in addition to giving up another 2 singles. The third inning, he strikes out another 2, but he gives up a single and a walk. So there's a lot of chaos on the bases every single inning for Reid Detmers. And then once again, he gives up a home run in the 4th inning, first pitch, and this one, another meatball. This time a fastball right down the middle, and Carson Kelly crushes this one. 106 exit velo, 412 feet. So, in baseball, you see teams hit home runs on decent pitches. No. All 3 of these home runs were really bad pitches. Hanging changeup, hanging slider, fastball right down the middle. And so absolutely deserved to give up these 3 home runs. Could have gotten even more ugly after the Carson Kelly home run, because then he follows it up with another single to Matt Duffy. But fortunately, 2 strikeouts after that. Of course, the strikeouts were going. He did strike out the side in the 5th. I'd give him some credit for having some resilience and whatnot. And then, of course, Ron Washington pulls the plug heading into the top of the 6th. At this point, the Angels are still down 4-2, able to cut into the lead a little bit, maybe make it a ball game. And so that's why Ron Washington elects to go with Ronzi Contreras in the 6th inning. But the moral of the story is you can't throw that many meatballs and expect to be a starting pitcher that's going to have a good ERA and not have a bunch of losses if you're Reid Detmers. I'm glad he had strikeouts. I'm glad that there is a upside there, and that's why I'm not going to give up on Reid Detmers or anything like that. But the problem is he's nowhere near consistent enough. He has nowhere near enough control to be confident that he can get through starts without throwing meatballs like he did tonight. And, baseball, it's a sport with a little bit of luck, a lot of momentum. And the moral of the story is the luck is not on Reid Detmers' side right now as well. Pitchers make bad pitches all the time, but when every single time you make a bad pitch, the other team's hitting it for a home run, there's a little bit of bad luck and also a lot of bad pitching. And so nothing going right for Reid Detmers in his last 3 starts after a really good 2 starts coming back from the minors. And so now we're back to square zero with him. We're back to, is this guy at all ready to be an MLB starting pitcher consistently? I don't think so. And it's concerning. I keep saying it every postcast at this point in September. This is a great month in terms of opportunity for guys like Reid Detmers who haven't had good seasons to erase everything. Erase what you did in June. Erase what you did in May. if you have a good September, you go into the offseason, you go into spring training with some confidence, some stuff to build on, and have a good 2025, 2026 season. But, I mean, a couple of guys on the roster are going to be in that situation. Reid Detmers looked like he would have been in that situation after his first 2 starts, but with what he's done these last three really bad starts, he's given up 19 runs in his last 3 starts. He now has an ERA at 6.7, back to square one for Reid Detmers, and maybe back to the minor leagues for him. Who knows? So kind of the worst possible scenario. Obviously, the end of the season has been an utter disaster. It was looking like we were going to avoid having all these records in terms of this being the worst season. We really might go to 99 losses. We barely avoided 100. But it would have been even remotely, palatable, okay, if guys like Reid Detmers were giving us some confidence going into the offseason. But boy, that couldn't be further from the case. And so it's really frustrating. There's no other way to put it. It really is frustrating. When we come back from our first break here on this Locked On Angels postcast, we'll talk about the offense. It underwhelmed as much as Reid Detmers, if not more. To be fair, the lineup, a lot of no names. Some names that you do care about, they struggled as well. But just kind of another typical Angels outing in terms of score a couple runs, never score enough. At least they scored some. Yesterday, they decided not to. So we'll get to that. We'll get to your comments. We'll recap the White Sox series a little bit more, and we'll look ahead to the last 2 games of the season after our breaks here on the Locked On Angels postcast. I'll be right back. Now, today's show is brought to you by Robinhood. We haven't gotten to talk a lot about Robinhood, but we will talk about it right now. With Robinhood Gold, you don't need a silver spoon to eat up the financial favors of the 1%. Robinhood Gold allows others to get the rates and perks usually reserved for the high society. Now, the resourceful individual with Robinhood Gold can earn the very liberal rate of 4.5% APY on uninvested cash, receive unlimited 1% deposit bonuses, and be rewarded with a handsome 3% retirement boost on an IRA or IRA account. Robinhood Gold provides the privileges of a high net worth for any net worth. These generous benefits are now available for only $5 a month, and the new gold standard is here with Robinhood Gold. So sign up at Robinhood Gold or Robinhood.com/gold. Terms apply. For product-specific disclosures, visit Robinhood.com/gold. Investing involves risk. Rate may change. Gold membership is offered by Robinhood Gold, LLC. One more time, sign up at Robinhood.com/gold. That's Robinhood.com/gold. Take advantage of that. It's pretty darn good. Back here live on the Locked On Sports Los Angeles YouTube channel. This is the Locked On Angels postcast. I'm Gavin Carlson, and the Angels are bad. They are B-A-D bad. They're terrible. They're just abysmal. I don't even know what words to use to describe this team. They have now lost 4 consecutive games after getting swept by the Chicago White Sox, folks. The record-setting, literally tonight, setting the record with loss number 121. We could have, in this abysmal season, we at the very least could have been the team that handed the White Sox that record-setting 121st loss. But no, we decided to get swept by them. They might not end the season with the worst losing percentage or winning percentage in MLB history only because of us, only because they swept us. This team is not going to win 40 games, and yet they won 3 in a row against us. It's absolutely unfathomable. And then we follow it up with a 5-2 loss here tonight against the Texas Rangers. We already discussed Reid Detmers after his good 2 starts coming back from the minors. Maybe there's some confidence. Well, he now has his 3rd consecutive brutal start. Gives up 3 home runs, 2 in the first inning, 3 runs given up in the first inning, his 3rd home run in the 4th inning as he finishes this one pitching 5 innings. He did have 12 strikeouts, pretty good there, but 4 earned runs. The ERA is now 6.7. The record is 4-9, and he might not be a guy we want to see in the rotation next year after all. We're going to talk about the offense now. Not much to talk about, to be honest. Just a typical Angels performance. 7 hits, 2 runs. They go 2 for 9 with runners in scoring position. They strand 7 on base. Another 11 strikeouts. 11. They draw 3 walks, but you strike out 11 times. You strand runners. Pilar has a costly double play at one point. Not that many extra base hits. Just a double from Jack Lopez, his 2nd of the season. Good for him. And then Cavadas had a double as well. But a brutal game, and It's just frustrating. It's just frustrating. Taylor Ward goes 0 for 4 with a strikeout. Lopez was 2 for 3, easily the player of the game with those extra base hits and a walk. He scored one of the 2 runs for the Angels tonight. Wagaman goes 1 for 4. He did have an RBI. He did have a strikeout. He's still hitting over 250 in his brief stint with this team. Pilar, like I said in the intro, was brutal. 0 for 4 with 2 strikeouts. Remember when this guy was hitting 300 with an OPS over 8? Yeah, he's hitting 236 with a 684 OPS. Matt Dice, 1 for 4. The hat trick, 3 strikeouts for him. You know, there was a time where I thought Matt Dice was like a pretty good option off the bench. He's hitting 201. So that says all you need to say there. Brandon Drury, his average goes up with his 1 for 4 with 2 strikeouts. He's now hitting a grand whopping 171 with a 476 OPS. Gustavo Campero continues to have some opportunities here at the end of the season. He goes 1 for 4. He does score the Angels' second run of the game. Cavadas goes 1 for 2. He does have 2 walks. He does a decent job at drawing walks, but he's hitting 174. And then Stefanik at the bottom of the lineup. Remember when I used to say, stop sleeping on Stefanik? Well, I am fast asleep. He's 0 for 4 tonight with another 2 strikeouts. He's hitting 210. The OPS is 522. The team is awful. The team is awful. The team is awful, awful, awful. They scored a run in the first. You got to give them some credit there. You know, you instantly fall behind 3-0, and then they show some life. Largely thanks to Jack Lopez, who's honestly, of all these no names, been one of the guys who's showing you a little bit of something, a good glove and occasionally a decent bat as well. Against Jacob deGrom, who is a good pitcher. You know, he hasn't played much this year. He's been injured for most of the season. But shout out to Jack Lopez. He does have a 1-out double in the top of the first inning. Took a down and away fastball at 98.7, and he ripped it. 98 exit velo, just a ground ball to right field, but he's able to get a double, get into scoring position with 1 out, and then shout out to Wagaman for hitting him in a 2-2 fastball down, but kind of caught a lot of the plate. He hit it really hard, another sharp ground ball, and the Angels do score a run. But then Kevin Pilar grounds into a double play with 1 out and a runner on first. And then the Angels offense doesn't do much from there. We do see another Jack Lopez double in the 3rd inning, but that was with 2 outs. Then Wagaman instantly strikes out. 4th inning, 1-2-3. 5th inning, the Angels score their other run on the game of the game thanks to a Campero single, a Campero stolen base, and then a Nico Cavadas RBI double. Both of those came off of Matt Festa, who came in for Jacob deGrom. But that was it in the 5th. The Angels don't score any more runs after that. A hit in the 6th, from Matt Dice, but that was with 2 outs, and Drury immediately strikes out after that. Cavadas draws a walk in the 7th, but 3 outs otherwise. Lopez draws a walk in the 8th, but 3 straight outs. And then in the 9th inning, a 2-out walk from Cavadas. Not enough to start a rally as Stefanik flies out and the Angels do all but nothing. So yeah, the offense, was pretty abysmal, not surprising. Not really any crazy takeaways. Not many guys, honestly, in the lineup at this point that we care about. I mean, just looking at this lineup, Taylor Ward we do care about. He wasn't good. But Lopez, Wagaman, Pilar, Thaiss, Drury, Campero, Cavadas, Stefanik, honestly, all of them other than Ward will not be starting many games for this team, hopefully, next season. So I guess that's a silver lining is, hey, the Angels look terrible, but they're not really playing many of their guys. But the problem is, still, like I said, the goal for this month should have been to see guys like Neto, Shanuel, O'Hoppe, have good Septembers to have some confidence going into the offseason, but instead they have been so poor that Ron Washington has to protect them at this point, protect their mentals and their physical, and just get them out of the game. Don't have them play. Don't let them feel any worse about themselves, and just get this season over with at this point. But yeah, you know, the guys that did get the opportunity haven't done much with it, other than Jack Lopez at times, other than Wagaman at times, other than Campero at times, but for the most part, no one really saying that they deserve to be on this roster next year. And yeah, I mean, that's pretty bad given how bad the entire team has been. I'm going to take my last break here on the postcast, and when I come back, we'll get to your comments. We'll also recap that game yesterday a little bit, and then look ahead to the last 2, what I'm looking for in the last 2 games, if anything. This will be a short one. We'll wrap this one up quickly. I'll be back after my last break here on the Locked On Angels Postcast. I'll be right back. Now, today's show is brought to you once again by Booking.com. Booking.com Yeah, it's time to explore those U.S. cities you always secretly wanted to learn more about. And yes, I'm talking about those other baseball cities, maybe even your baseball rival cities, with hotels, bed and breakfast, vacation rentals, resorts, and so much more on Booking.com. You might just find your perfect stay, even in your baseball rival city during the MLB postseason. Maybe it's time to test your baseball competition stadium cuisine. And luckily on Booking.com, you can find the stadium stay that's just right for you. With Booking.com's wide variety of choices across the U.S., you can go incognito to all your baseball rival cities. For example, like I said, when I went to New York, I know the Yankees aren't really a rival, but I did go to New York City. I did use Booking.com, and I did enjoy it quite a bit. Booking.com delivers exactly what you're looking for. I use the app. The website's very great as well. No matter what you use, no matter what team you're rooting for, Booking.com can make you a fan of any U.S. city. So from hotels that look over stadiums to family-friendly resorts to cute bed and breakfast stays, Booking.com is the place to be. The right stay can make you a fan of any U.S. city, even your baseball rivals. Booking.com, Booking.yeah. And finally, today's show is brought to you by Prize Picks. I love Prize Picks, and so do over 5 million other active members. Prize Picks is America's #1 daily fantasy sports app, and it's the easiest and most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. Unlike other apps on Prize Picks, it's just you against the numbers. You don't have to worry about all those algorithms and AI models that everybody's using to optimize their lineup. It's just you against the numbers. All you do is pick more or less on 2 to 6 player stat projections and watch the winnings roll in. I hope you took advantage in September. One Caleb Williams passing yard got you a win every week in September. There's still this Sunday. The Bears will be taking on our Rams, my Rams, and I'll be doing a Rams postcast. But yes, every week in September, one Caleb Williams passing yard gets you one win on Prize Picks. You can now win up to 100 times your money on Prize Picks with as little as 4 correct picks. And it's the best way to get action on sports in most states, including California, Texas, and Georgia, where sports betting is not legal. If you want to play Prize Picks alongside Drewski, Joe Budden, and MMA champ Sugar Sean O'Malley, you can now find the community plays under the promos tab of the app to view entries from some of the biggest names in the Prize Picks community each week. So go ahead and download the Prize Picks app today and use code LOCKEDONMLB to get $50 instantly when you play $5. That's code LOCKEDONMLB on Prize Picks to get $50 instantly when you play $5. You don't even need to win to receive the $50 bonus. It's guaranteed. So go to prizepicks.com, download the Prize Picks app, and once again, Prize Picks, run your game. Back here live one more time on the Locked On Sports Los Angeles YouTube channel. This is the Locked On Angels Postcast. I am Gavin Carlson, not only host of the Angels Postcast, but the Locked On UCLA Postcast, which I will be bringing back, of course, tomorrow night after our huge game. You see the UCLA helmet behind me. Diehard UCLA fan, recent alum, formerly covered the team. The place to be after every UCLA game, and hopefully it'll be after a win tomorrow night. I'll be honest, I'm not very confident based on what I've seen so far. Some better things in that LSU game, but we're probably going to lose tomorrow night. But regardless of what happens, I will be here. I know it's a late kickoff, 8 p.m. So whenever that game ends, around 11, I will be here for that. And then, of course, I do the Locked On Rams postcast as well. So Sunday morning, afternoon, they play at 10 a.m. against Caleb Williams and those Bears after that great win last week against the Niners. So whenever that game ends around 1 p.m., expect the postcast with me then as well. We'll see if I can do the Angels postcast those days. I honestly don't remember when the Angels play, and in fact, I can check. It's not looking like I'll be able to do the game tomorrow, actually, because that game's going to end around 9, which is kind of when the UCLA game is happening. But I think I can pull off the postcast on Sunday because the Angels game will end around 2:30 when the Rams game will end around 1. So I think I can do both of those. It is the last game of the year, and I do want to reward you guys, thank you guys one last time, for what has been an interesting ride doing these Angels postcasts. I mean, the team itself has been brutal, but you guys have been more than great. You're the reason I do the show, and it's been fun doing it with you guys. Like, I'm not even lying. There are games when I don't even watch every pitch very closely, and I'm just looking forward to seeing what you guys say in the chat, interacting with you, because that's honestly more important at this point. We're going to really quickly talk about yesterday's game. I mean, I don't really know what there is to say other than how embarrassing. It's one thing to lose to this team once. It's another team to lose to this team twice. It is a whole nother thing to lose all 3 games in the series against the White Sox when the White Sox are 1 loss away from setting the record. And it's another thing to get shut out 7-0 in that sweep clinching game. A 7-run 5th inning, just it's one of the worst losses in the history of the team. And I know it doesn't mean much, and I know that there's not many guys that are actually important in this franchise playing in this game. But come on, this game did have Ward and Neto and O'Hoppe and Moniak all in the starting lineup, and we didn't score a run. Like, come on, it can't happen. This game did have Tyler Anderson starting, and that's probably the most concerning fact of them all, is that Tyler Anderson is probably our ace next year, and he gives up 4 earned runs, 5 runs total against the White Sox. This is our ace next year. This is a guy we passed up on trading at the deadline for prospects because we need him to be the ace. And he's 10-15. The ERA is now 3.81. It doesn't end up even being that good of a year after being an all-star start to the season. So just, the missed opportunity to trade this guy for prospects. And now we have to live in a world where he's our ace and he's not even that good. And we could have gotten some young pieces for him. We will never live that trade deadline down. Despite, having a couple good trades at that deadline, and yet there were so many opportunities to cash in on a few more players that we didn't take advantage of. But yeah, absolutely disgraceful that you lose a game, let alone all 3 games of the series against that White Sox team, let alone getting shut out in the last game, let alone when they're 1 loss away from setting the record. Just so many frustrating things. I already mentioned at the beginning of the show, this is a night tonight, I'm not talking about last night, going back to tonight where the Angels, or not the Angels, I wish. The Royals clinch a playoff spot. The Tigers clinch a playoff spot. These teams are not good. I mean, the Royals, you have Bobby Witt Jr., you still have some veterans, Salvi Perez, yada, yada, yada. The Tigers should not be significantly better than the Angels in 2024. There's no excuse. There's no excuse. It's so frustrating. But 2 games to go. What am I looking for? I mean, at this point, it would be nice to win one of them. 98 losses looks better than 99, I guess. The winning percentage will be the lowest in franchise history, I think, regardless. Even if we go 65-97, I think it still might be the lowest regardless. But if we don't win both, I don't think we're going to win the next 2 games. Even if we split, I don't think it matters. I think it's the worst season regardless. I'm not even going to do the math because who really cares? But yeah, what a horrible way to cap off a horrible season. Just no heart. Ron Washington, there will be questions. He's not going to get fired. I don't think so. But just because of the way this season kind of just completely collapsed at the end, there will be some pressure. If this team starts next year 5-10, 5-15, there will be people calling for his job and saying he's just not the right guy. We'll see. Still want to give him another season. Still expecting Mike Trout to be back. Still expecting the rotation to look better. Still expecting guys like O'Hoppe and Shanuel and Neto and Moniak and Adele and all that to turn it around, look a little bit better after another offseason. But with the way this season ended, and if we start like 5-10, 5-15, Ron Washington will be on the hot seat. And as someone who's defended him for most of this year, I won't be able to defend him at that point because you're just not winning baseball games at the end of the day. But yeah, with all that being said, appreciate you watching me on another postcast here tonight. Hopefully we can do one at least on Sunday. Won't be able to do one tomorrow because of the UCLA postcast. But please join me tomorrow night on the Locked On UCLA postcast, and we'll see Sunday. I will be doing the Rams postcast for sure, but hopefully the Angels as well to cap off what has been an interesting season, but a fun ride with you guys here on the Angels postcast. So if this is goodbye, wow. Thank you. It's been a fun, crazy end of the season, but I mean, it is my first year on this network. And it's been a lot of fun, and you guys are the reason why. So thanks a lot from the bottom of my heart. I know it sounds corny, but I seriously mean it. Like, seeing guys like Jeff and Anaheim Angel and Angels Win, and everybody on here every night. Fudd Alex, just so many names. I can't even think of all of them. You guys, once again, are the reason. Daniel Barry, of course, as well. Can't forget you. Appreciate you guys a lot. Hopefully I'll see you on Sunday. I'm hoping this isn't the last one of the season. But regardless, join me on the football postcast this weekend, and I can interact with you guys there. All right, we're going to wrap this one up. Angels lose 5-2. Angels stink. Angels 63-97. Worse than the A's. The A's that are moving out of town. Worse than everybody other than the White Sox. And honestly, when you get swept by the White Sox, you can't even say you're that much better than them. But all right, we're going to wrap this one up. Once again, I'm Gavin Carlson. Angels lose. Angels always lose. Hopefully they don't lose tomorrow. Hopefully they don't lose Sunday. Hopefully there'll be another postcast. But regardless, you know the drill. As always, after every show, no matter what, go Angels. Take care. Have a great rest of your Friday. Have a great weekend. And I'll see you this weekend. Take care.